Hey guys, welcome to the channel and welcome back to another video. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Glad you're here. And I just wanted to say I apologize. Just a moment ago, I got cut off, but I went ahead and got us right back on. So we're good to go. Thank you guys. If you stuck around and you stayed here and you checked me out again and you understood that there was some technical difficulties. So I appreciate you being here, guys. We're going to talk today about NVIDIA, but we're really going to focus a lot of our attention today on TSMC. TSM stock is what we're going to be focusing on big time today, and three other stocks that I think you should be taking a look at. So if you're here, guys, let me know you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up. Again, Sunset on the Ocean, buy the book. Miss Journey, good to have you. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. And thank you for hanging in there with me for that technical glitch I just had. So I appreciate that. So we're going to be having this conversation, guys. But before I have the conversation, before I get going on the conversation. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, by the way. Let me know you can hear me. Thanks, James. Thanks, Robert. Good to have you here. Yep, we had a ABGO split today. We'll talk a little bit about that. And I appreciate you guys bringing that up. And thank you for the thumbs up. Appreciate you. So, before I dig in deep today, I have to say, look, prayers and thoughts to the victims of Saturday's political mayhem and the attempted assassination that happened on Saturday. Prayers and thoughts to the victims, prayers and thoughts to all of those involved, the people, obviously the former president, all that good stuff. We want to always give our shout out to say that, we need to be unifying in this country, not, violence is not the way. It never is the way. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, whether you're on the left side, the far left side, the right side, the far right side, whether you're in the middle, doesn't matter. First and foremost, we need to be unifying, and violence is never the answer, right? And I'm glad that the former president's okay. And again, thoughts and prayers to the family that lost a loved one. I think there's a couple more folks in critical condition. So, look, violence is never acceptable. Again, we got to keep the country in your prayers. There's nothing, this is nothing to play with. And I hope you all are taking this very, very serious. And, it's just not okay to have violence at any public event, any event. I don't care what side you're on, but as adults, mature adults, we got to take the adult, look at this thing, not the fifth grade look at it. He did this and she did that and they did, we don't solve issues with violence. That's not necessary. So, guys, prayers and thoughts out to those folks that were involved. That's first and foremost. So thank you very much for being here, Namisha. Appreciate you, NW, as well. Hey, Fresno is checking in. But I want to talk about, yes, we know that NVIDIA is killing the game. I want to make sure I focus on that a little bit. But I want to spend most of today's video talking about these other stocks that are really important. And I want to give you a heads up if you haven't already got a heads up on these stocks. And because these stocks have some earnings reports coming up soon, all four of them that I'm going to talk about, they have some earnings reports coming up very soon. And I want to sort of have a meat and potatoes conversation about them before these earnings reports come out. Let's see here. Hey, Alvira's in the house. Good to have you here. Stock market is here. SoFi is one of the, not sure what you said. Grace and peace back to you. Let's see here. Thank you, Mrs. Moore, for being here. Thank you, Mrs. Moore, for helping me out in here. I appreciate you so much. So, guys, as you know, I never come on here and do a whole bunch of quantitative analysis and technical analysis, right? I don't want to come on here and read candlesticks because I got a bunch of people that want to trade and be day traders and all that. I'm not a day trader. I'm not going to do a lot of options trading and things like that. My goal here is to have a conversation about stocks that you ought to be watching, why you should be watching, what you should be looking for, and things to think about as an investor, whether you're a beginner, whether you're a seasoned investor. And I just want to discuss some things about some certain stocks. Now, I know we have some folks on here that are ETF, index, and I'm good. I like that type of investing. I also know that we have some folks on here that are single stock folks. And of course, we have folks that are a little bit of both, right? And we have a lot of beginners. So my goal is to try to jog your brain a little bit about what to be thinking about when you're looking at investing in single stocks or having ETFs with these stocks as major players in them. So I'm going to give you a couple of them in the AI space, but I'm going to give you a couple of them that are not in the AI space. So stick around for that, guys. And so we're going to discuss why there's opportunities in these four stocks, and then I'm going to let you do your own research. But as you know, like I said, I'm not trying to do no stock plays and all that kind of stuff, right? Basics, beginner, intermediate, right? Let's see here. So starting with NVIDIA, right? Then I'm going to talk about the other two AIs. Then I'll talk about the last two, right? Knock off those last two companies because they're very, very similar, but they're companies you should be watching. Each of the companies I'm talking about here today, they have earnings reports that are coming up. So I want to disclose, and I'm going to also at the end here, towards the end middle, I'm going to talk about why earnings reports are so important to a company and so important for us to be keeping an eye out for, right? So in terms of NVIDIA, we know that NVIDIA has a large part of the market in terms of AI, right? And we know that they may have and I'm talking AI, not talking about necessarily semiconductors. We'll talk about TSMC in just a moment, but we know that NVIDIA has a wonderful outlook. And also we know that NVIDIA has sort of flatlined a little bit, right? In the 120s per share, right? But NVIDIA does have an earnings report coming up that you need to be aware of in late August. I think it's August 24th or August 28th, somewhere around then. There's an earnings report for NVIDIA that's going to be coming up. So you need to be watching that. Matter of fact, let me share my screen and just see where we are with NVIDIA right now, just to see what we got going on. If I can find it. Do I have it up? I think I might have it up, guys. Bear with me here. Let's see here. Yep, I do got it up. I got something up. Not sure. Let me refresh, see what we ended the day at. Okay, so we ended the day in NVIDIA in terms of their stock at 128.44. 5-day overview. Had a big dip that day. But for the most part, it's kind of flatlined, as you can see the last week or so, right? For the last month or so, it's kind of been playing up and down, playing up and down, playing up and down, which, is to be expected a little bit as we near earnings report and the further we get away from the last report that was so wonderful, right? Last report had everybody up in this irrational, it was really irrational exuberance, right? Everybody's hyped up. But as we get further from that, we see that things have died down a little bit. Obviously, they had the split as well, the 10-for-1 split. But we've seen it sort of flatline. Obviously, over a 6-month period, we're still in an upward trend, right? We're still upward trend. Matter of fact, if you look at NVIDIA in the last 6 months, really the first full 6 months of this year, first half of the year, you're talking about going, it's doubled in price, right? It's more than doubled in price in the last 6 months. So no need to worry. Sure, we've seen a little flat line right here since the split, but not a big deal. Year to date, that means the last 12 months. I'm sorry, year to date is actually from January to now. 6 months is from probably February to now. Year to date is January. 1 year is the 12-month span, right? So 12-month span, we're looking at almost a triple in terms of where NVIDIA has gone. So again, we haven't seen some of the incredible growth that we saw earlier. We've seen sort of a flat line in the last month or so, 3 or 4 weeks. Not to worry. That doesn't change the fundamentals. I mean, I always say that, but it's true. It doesn't change the fundamentals of the company, doesn't change the industry of AI, doesn't change any of that. So be looking for NVIDIA to have an earnings report in about a little over a month. And as we get nearer that earnings report, look for it to probably make some shifts here and there on an upward trend. That's my thought process. But let's dig into TSMC. Some of you might say, well, what is TSMC? Some of you have it. Some of you don't have it. Some of you know what it is. Some of you don't know what it is. I'm going to talk about TSMC, and then I'm going to talk about 3 others. So bear with me here. And I hope not to make this a super long live, right? But I really wanted to say, as we kick the week off, that be looking for these things, guys. If you are a serious individual, single stock investor, let me share my screen and let's look at TSMC. I want to talk a little bit about them and share with you guys what they are, who they are, what they do, etc. So give me just a moment here, guys. Let's see if we can pull it up. Yep, we got them. And let me hide myself. I don't need to be that big, right? Maybe get smaller. Maybe I could take myself all the way off the screen, maybe. No, I'll stick around in the bottom left-hand corner, right? All right, so TSMC, guys. TSMC, what are they? Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company. Now, I haven't spent a lot of time over the last month that I've been digging into some single stocks with you guys. I haven't spent a lot of time talking about TSMC, but Taiwan Semiconductor Company, what they call TSMC, right? Taiwan. It's a semiconductor contract where they do like these. They call them a foundry, right? So they manufacture and design semiconductors. Now, it's a global leader, right? It's the global leader of semiconductors, right? I got some information about. I'll just kind of go over it with you guys. Let me see if I can read it. I can barely see with my eyes. So, in the first quarter of 2024, TSMC had a 61.7% market share in the semiconductor space. Samsung had 11%, right? So TSMC's leadership is due to their advanced leadership in the space of semiconductor, due to their advanced manufacturing technologies, right? So let me just kind of look at their stock real quick, guys, and see where you are, see what's happened in the last, I don't know. Let's look at the last 6 months, year to date. You see huge, nice size growth. In the last 5 years, you see a little upward swing right around the time of the pandemic, dipped again, and now it's headed back up. So just to give you an idea where they've been in the last 5 years, 1 year, and year to date. So year to date, stock has gone up probably from what, trading at the beginning of the year, January 1st, at $101 per share, trading today at $185 per share. Now, you look at Nvidia. Some of you look at Nvidia and say, "Wow, Nvidia did this." Look, that's an anomaly. That's a one-off. The fact that Taiwan Semi has gone from, $101 per share to $185 per share. That's almost double in 7 months. So that is still tremendous. That's some tremendous growth, right? Tremendous growth. It's the key. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company is the key driver of most AI semiconductors, right? There's obviously an increasing capacity in terms of AI and AI processing capabilities, right? They call it edge computing and some of what they call the data centers we talked about. So TSMC, founded I think 1987, as the world's first dedicated semiconductor, what they call a foundry. And so it's been it's been a leading company in the semiconductor space for 30 plus years, quite a long time. They basically produce semiconductor. Listen, if Taiwan Semi closed down today, there would be a problem worldwide. I mean, this is how important this company is. There would be a global crisis, right? Like McDonald's could shut down and everybody be upset, but they would go right over to Wendy's. No big deal, right? But if Taiwan Semi shut down today, there would be a worldwide crisis immediately because they are that important to the semiconductor space, right? Their customer base. Okay, so they design and manufacture chips for electronics and other industries. Based out of Taiwan, obviously, hence the name, but they are an incredibly huge and important company, right? They are the largest semiconductor company in the world. I read a few estimates that said that they're predicted to make about, they're estimated to make about 90% of the world's advanced chips. 90% of the world's advanced chips, which powers, you name it, right? Advanced electronics, manufacturing, iPhones, AI, whatever, they manufacture it. TSMC, Taiwan Manufacturing Company's customers include all the big Mag 7s, right? Nvidia, AMD, Apple, Qualcomm, right? Matter of fact, I believe, and quote me if I'm wrong, guys, you guys might know in the chat, but I believe they manufacture Nvidia's high performance GPUs. They manufacture the chips for that, right? And then just a few months ago, TSMC and Nvidia, they announced some type of partnership with a third party to develop some other high-tech stuff. I don't even want to get into what it is. High-tech stuff, right? It's going to speed up chip fabrication and all that kind of stuff. So Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, it powers Nvidia, right? So if they're powering Nvidia and Nvidia is leading the world in the AI space and they can't do it without TSMC, that tells you how important that TSMC is. And it tells you why they've doubled, nearly tripled their in last year, um, their market cap, right? Some of you like Broadcom, right? AVGO. I saw somebody mention that in the chat earlier. Listen, Broadcom is powered by TSMC's semiconductors, as well as Intel, and I think the big one, MediaTek, right? They're all powered by the semiconductors manufactured by TSMC. And just like Nvidia, their customers, TSMC's customers, are going to ultimately be their competitors, trying to make chips the way that Taiwan Semiconductor makes chips. But TSMC, or ticker symbol TSM, they, just like Nvidia has a leapfrog advantage in the AI space, TSMC has a advantage in the semiconductor space, right? So their moat, or the thing that protects them, like Coca-Cola's name protects Coca-Cola, is that they're so crucial and have such a large market share, 60+% in the semiconductor space right now. That's their moat, and their ability to make, things cheaper, things faster, things more advanced, right? So when's their let me pull this up real quick. Let me see when TSMC's, I thought it was coming up, when their earnings report's going to happen. Earnings report for them is coming up. Let's see here. Is it this week? Let me see something. Give me a second, guys. See if I'm getting this right, and you guys can tell me. And I'm just sharing my screen with you guys so you can see. Let's see here. Earnings, dates for upcoming earnings, trending days. What dates? What time? What time? What time? Boom, boom, boom. What is TMC earnings? Let's see here. July 18th is this week. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, it would be, right? That's why I wanted to get the date right. But it's going to be the 18th of this week, guys. So pay close attention to this one. If you're watching stocks, if you're watching, seeing what's going on with stocks, and you're curious and you're interested, you like the AI space, you see the growth in the AI space, and you want to continue to be a part of that growth, pay attention to this stock, please. Whatever you do, pay attention to this stock. It's got a lot of upside. If we're talking about AI, we're talking about technology, we're talking about AI being built on top of existing technology. This firm right here has been around for 30 plus years. Almost, 30 plus years, 1980, 13, boom, boom. Yeah, more than, between 30 and 40 years they've been around. So this is not one of these, this is not one of these fly by night, companies that just went public, and they're struggling. No, this firm has been around a long time. So I really wanted to bring it to you guys' attention to say, hey, listen, pay attention to this stock. And I know some of you, if you own TSMC or let me know in the chat if you own some TSM stock. Let me know in the chat if you already bought this stock and you've been following this stock and you've been watching this stock. Just drop that in the chat real quick, guys, so we know. Let's see here. Nvidia is all hype. What? Nvidia is all hype. Nvidia reminds me of a woman that everyone has invested in. I'm moving different. Nothing wrong with that. I am enlightened. That's nothing wrong with that, right? You got your philosophy. I'm never going to tell you to go out and buy a stock. I'm going to tell you to do your research and buy what fits your goals and fits your risk tolerance level and fits your ultimate end game. And if that means bypassing the whole AI space, I'm not mad at you at all. Absolutely. I like, to see people doing their own thing. Nothing wrong with that at all. But in my opinion, I think this is a sector of our economy that's really going to be taken off. And I think it's at the beginning right now. That's just my personal opinion. And for some of you that like and say, I want to get it on the sort of the ground level of AI and start investing now, I don't want to be, in the year 2032 saying, man, I sure wish I had bought that. This is some things you got to think about. So TSM, ticker symbol TSM, is a solid something to look at prior to earnings, right? Sometimes prior to earnings can be a good buy, because if the earnings report looks good, you're going to see a boost in this stock in maybe a week or so, right? Because of the fact that these earnings reports are coming out. And I'll talk later about why this is so important with these earnings, okay? Let's see. Somebody said, I'm just going back to the chat, guys. I'm a little bit behind. Let's see here. Have a small port. If you have a question, put a Q in there, and I'll be sure to try to catch that question. Somebody said, yes, Pistol Pete, TSMC is great. It is great. It has great. It's been performing great. And it's been performing along with the whole technology that we see. So let's see here. Chasing trends is like chasing the wind. Absolutely. I agree with you on that. Let's see here. TSMC has unlimited orders from Nvidia, AMD. Absolutely. Nvidia all-time high win. I'm just still looking. So yeah, July 18th, in just a few days, you're going to see this earnings report come out. And then I want you to take a look. Maybe you can put this stock on your stock watch list, or you can look at where you have it at in your ETF. See if you got some. Check out the holdings or composition of your ETF and see if there's some TSCM there, right? If you got VOO or you got, some of these others out there, feel free to take a look and see if it's been a part of that right now. Let's see. Financials are good. Absolutely. On last call this evening, they said tech doesn't run the country. I'm not sure what you said, Michael, but I'm just reading it. Would you? Absolutely. The Walla Mala. Yes. TSM. I only talk about stocks that I have on my watch list. Okay. I probably should have made that clear earlier, but I'm going to bring out stocks and talk about stocks that I think are good for you to watch. Therefore, in turn, they're good for me to watch too, right? I mean, just to be point blank and honest with you. So yeah, I'm definitely taking a look at TSMC. I don't own any right now, but definitely as we dig in on the other platform, we dig into our single stocks and getting our whole plan and all that stuff together. I'm developing a watch list with these companies on it. All right. Let's see here. I like your YouTube video. Thank you, Seth. Appreciate it. Thinking about buying Canadian National Railway over Broadcom because CNR is an important company. Could be. I don't know much about that Canadian company though, but I'll definitely keep my ears open for anything I hear on that. CNR is a no-brainer, as somebody else says. Let's see. Nvidia is the worst trade, which going, I'm not sure what you're saying there. Let's see. 48. Guys, get those likes up. Thank you, Mrs. Moore. Guys, do me a favor and just tap that thumbs up button for me, if you will. Just hit it. Boom. Take out 2 seconds of your time to say, boop. Boop, just real quick. Doesn't take any time. Find it on your phone or find it on your laptop or even on your TV, whatever you're watching on. Just tap that like button for me. I really would appreciate it. Now, let's jump into Broadcom. I want to talk about this one because of the 3 others I want to have a quick conversation with. Broadcom sticks out, and it's there. I think Broadcom today is trading at about $171.42 per share after the split. As you guys know, big split happened with Broadcom. Let me see if I have it up. I don't think I have it up, but I'll pull it up real quick. Let me go here and pull it up real quick. I just want to have a quick conversation about Broadcom stock because I think that some folks were holding out to not actually purchase shares of Broadcom until after the split. I'm not mad at you. Typically, a lot of times what happens, I won't say typically, a lot of times what happens, you see a split happen, you see a little lull period, and we're kind of getting that with NVIDIA right now. I think also something to consider is the fact that there are larger investors that are kind of cooling off a little bit on AI, right? On AI stocks and technology stocks. But just because they're cooling off on them, it doesn't mean these are no longer good plays or good buys, right? So when you look at Broadcom, that's trading at, if I can find it, trading at 171.42, and we look at a 5-day on that, we see a little dip. But here's the kicker. Excuse me. When large investors kind of sell off a little bit, scoop some of the profits off the top. For a lot of folks, guys, it doesn't mean that it doesn't necessarily mean the intrinsic or the real value of the company has shifted. But what oftentimes shift is you see a slight lull in the stock price, right? So just keep that in mind, guys. Not necessarily for Broadcom, but for any of these stocks. When you see like them cooling on AI a little bit or cooling in a particular sector, it may be a time for you to buy because it may mean that stocks are a little bit slightly undervalued or valued more fairly, right? So you could jump in there and jump in at that time and buy stocks that maybe they're not on a 20% sale, but maybe they're on a 5% sale, right? So Broadcom, as you see, that's where on the 5-day we had our split. I think was it today? And that's why you see the big dip down because they haven't adjusted that, right? Broadcom was trading at $1,700, and then now it's saying it's trading at only $170 because they had a 10-for-1 split. But Broadcom is an interesting stock, guys. 12th largest company in the world by market cap. 12th largest company in the world by market cap, right? Market cap meaning shares times outstanding shares multiplied by the price, right? 65% of the IT asset management space. So when you look at the markets, the share of the market space that Broadcom is the primary player in, they've got a really, really good position in that. Really, really good position in where they play. Year over year, you look at Broadcom was trading at only $910 per share back at on this day last year. And then up to yesterday, they were trading at a little over $1,700. So again, almost a double in the stock price in the course of the last 12 months, which is ginormous. Again, that I don't know how to tell you guys. That's not normal for most stocks, right? So again, the company's stock has increased 50% or a little over 50%. And, that's just incredible, right? Or, I'm sorry, close to 100%. It's increased over the last year, past 12 months, right? Obviously, due to investors in AI, right? And you get a lot of folks out there in terms of what they're predicting for Broadcom. It's good, solid, right? It's a global technology company that is a leader in designs, a leader in developing and supplying a broad range of semiconductor software, enterprise software, security solutions for your site. It's lots of stuff they do, right? So they're not quite Nvidia because they're not in as many spaces as Nvidia, but they're a pretty broad AI company. Okay, so projections going forward for Broadcom solid. A lot of folks see a triple and quadruple, projected increase in Broadcom over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, right? Broadcom trading AVGO, right? Chip designer, you name it, software, data centers, AIs and Ethernets and all that. They help companies like Apple, like Meta, like you name it, Google, etc. They're part of that. The moat they have. Broadcom is not just a regular old tech company, right? That is getting to the max. In my opinion, Broadcom is different than Intel, right? I think Broadcom has lots of room to grow, right? I think it still has lots and lots of room to grow. One of the things that Broadcom does, it's kind of different. And I'll let you do your own research on this, but Broadcom likes to acquire other companies. They're known for their acquisitions of other companies to diversify their own business portfolio, so to speak, right? Their own capabilities. What areas can they play in? They've been known to acquire companies so that they can go out and play in different spaces in the AI space, right? Or in the technology space in general, right? So just think about as you're looking at and doing your research, Broadcom has an earnings report coming out in late August. August 29th, I think is what it is as I look at it. August 29th is when they're coming out with their earnings report. And that's a good month away, 4 weeks away, but plenty of time for you to start planning and thinking of what you want to do. Another global technology company that's in the space of semiconductors and AI designing, etc. Right? They do all of that stuff for networking, for broadband, for storage, infrastructure storage, whatever, cybersecurity. And again, they've grown big time because of their acquisitions, right? The latest one I think was VMware, where they picked them up as well, right? So, and they're broad, they're a mini Nvidia, in my opinion. Nvidia's broad, right? Broadcom is still broad, not quite as broad as Nvidia. All right. So think about that. Chips. Now, let me talk about these last couple of them that I want to talk about. In the description of the video, maybe in the title of the video, I said Nvidia stock, TSM, ticker symbol TSM, and 3 other stocks to take a look at and think about as earnings reports come near. One was Broadcom. Now, the other 2, I'm going to do a shiftaroo on you, and I want to talk about 2 others real quick. And I'm going to do a shiftaroo because these are ones that I talked about before, but I haven't really done too much of a deep dive in them. But the other 2 are away from the AI space, okay? They're away from the AI space. Let me know. Hey, good evening to you too, Orlando. Good to have you here. Let's see here. See if I got any cues up here in the questions. None. Up to Broadcom or to Nvidia. That is the question. Or how about to do both? I don't know. You tell me. I have a position in Nvidia, and again, I got rid of a bunch of stocks about 2 months ago as we started our other platform. I say other platform. In the description box below, there's a link. The very first link on YouTube is a link to the membership site, right? The membership club over there where we're doing some single stock investing more so. I got rid of a bunch of single stocks because I want to start off afresh. And over there, we're adding to a watch list of stocks. And so, but I still have a position in what Nvidia and a few others, right? But some of these are on, all of these are on my watch list to purchase because most of my, all the rest of my investments are in index funds and ETFs and TSP funds with my job and all that good stuff. So we're in the process of potentially unload or starting to buy a few shares of these ones that I'm talking about. They're on my watch list as well. Good question. I appreciate it. Somebody says really cooling off on CMG. That's what we're going to talk about next. But before we go to CMG, let's talk about Cava next. Okay. I mentioned Cava to you guys a few weeks ago. Cava is the new fast food, just like the other one I'm going to mention, which is Chipotle. CMG, Namisha talked about. Cava is in the same sector, same area of restaurant, hospitality, whatever you want to call it, of fast food. And some of you, tell me if you have a Cava near you. CAVA. I think ticker symbol is CAVA. In my opinion, the new fast food is not McDonald's. The new fast food is not Church's Chicken or Kentucky Fried Chicken. Actually, they're not even Kentucky Fried Chicken. I think there's KFC now. But the new fast food is not Burger King and Wendy's. That was cool for decades, right? But I think the new fast food is this model that Chipotle, which we'll talk about next, Chipotle has sort of fashioned and made more fashionable. And there's some other places as well. But I think Cava, ticker symbol CAVA, is going to be an interesting play, guys. Cava, if memory serves me well, and let me know if you have Cava near you. Cava is beating the living fast food out of CMG. Somebody said, we can compare the two, right? Cava's near me in Morristown, New Jersey. Never heard of Cava. Yeah, Namisha, Cava is on quite a few places. It's a Mediterranean style Chipotle where you get to walk through the line, and I've been there several times. You first choose your salad, and then you choose some other stuff, and then you choose your protein, and they make it right in front of you with their gloves on and all that. You know, nobody wears hair nets anymore. What happened to that? I used to like the hair net days, but nobody wears hair nets anymore. But anyway, they make your food for you. You can add this, you can add that, falafels, and all kind of stuff. It's Mediterranean or Greek, whatever you want to say, and it's pretty neat. It's a Chipotle, but it's a little bit different, right? And it's more Mediterranean, right? And so they're in that new space. I think Cava and Chipotle are both in that new space of more, how do we say it? I don't want to say eco-friendly because we're like humans, but they're more healthy, kind of a healthy fast food, but not overly healthy, but healthy enough. Cava serves like quinoa and all this good stuff that is fairly healthy for you, et cetera. But you get to add to the stuff, and you have a little bowl and so forth. But Cava's trading at what? What is Cava trading at right now? Let me kind of take a look at this, guys. Important for you to know about Cava is that Cava is only on the stock market for the last year or so. So it doesn't have a long track record of being a publicly traded company. It's only been publicly traded for, I think, less than a year. But here's the kicker. Let me share my screen with you. Let me refresh to see how old that is. Cava's trading at $86.63 today. Last 5 days, you see a dip. And again, dips, don't be alarmed at dips. To be a good investor, you got to go against your human nature. Where you see a dip and it's like, oh my gosh. No, you see a dip and you see perhaps a company that's on sale right now, sitting on the sell rack for you to take advantage of and get into and buy. When you look at, let's look at year over year for when they were first introduced as an IPO. I think was last. I don't know when it was. They don't have a 5 year, so it must have been like last sometime last year. Let's put it like that. Smooth little dip when they were first introduced, but look what's happened to this company. It's gone up quite a bit. Year to date, last 6-7 months, that's where we are. Started at $40 per share back in January 1st. Today, 7 months later, it's trading at $84 with a high around what, $94. So this is Cava. Do you really think, and if you guys are seeing my screen, if it's big enough, I mean, it's dipped down. Do you think it's going to stay down or not? Probably not, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. Everything's my opinion. I'm not a certified financial planner. I'm not a certified stock guru. I'm not any of that. None of that. I don't claim to be any of that. But the point is that let's talk a little bit about this stock in particular. What is, some of you don't even know what it is, right? But it's a really solid food place, right? The forecast range from anywhere from $72 to $95 year over year. Average price target represents an increase of about 1.81% from today's closing, well, a little bit less than that from this closing price. But does it have a moat around it? No, has no moat. The only moat is it's probably the only Mediterranean type place like this that is franchised out, and not necessarily franchised, but all over the place, right? They have a bunch of store openings in the last less than a year, right? Earnings report is coming out on Cava on August 20th, right? Let me just see if I can let me see if I can read it. Yeah, there's a few things I want to read on here. During Cava's first fiscal quarter of 2024 this year, which ended back in April, the company opened, 14 or 20, I think 14 or 20 new restaurants. And it brought their restaurant count up to about 323. So in other words, it's 323 stores in the nation that are out there, right? Revenue first quarter this year, 256 million, right? Which is a 30% increase year over year. That's during quarter one. So Cava's, they've shown in what I've seen and what I've read in research is that they are big on opening a bunch of stores, and they've opened up a bunch of stores in the last year. 323 new stores is huge, right? But for the period ended April 21st, they had a net income of 14 million compared to a net loss last year. So they really start to turn some things around, and that's pretty impressive, right? Going from a negative $2 million loss to a $14 million gain. Great net income. Great, great, great. Right? Adjusted income, adjusted earnings, all looking good. All has gone up, nearly doubled with the last earnings report. So if we see another solid earnings report here in August for this company, that could be an impetus for this company to maybe take off and go even higher. Maybe hit over the 95 mark, back over the 100 or over the 100 mark. We'll see, right? All things considered about this company that you need to watch or maybe put on your watch list is that, their financials is pretty good. Their financials is pretty doggone impressive for their first year being a publicly traded company. All right. Let me see if I can go to their website real quick because I want to some of you guys never even heard of Cava. So let me just see if I can pull up their website real quick so you guys can kind of get a feel for who they are and what they do. But let's see if I can share my screen. I'm just trying to present some things to you guys to think about. If you're an investor, if you're a beginning investor, someone that's maybe even an intermediate investor, right? And you've been doing this thing for a while, probably a good idea. This is not what I want to share. Probably a good idea to take a look at this company here and see if they fit. See if they have opened some stores in your area and is a company that you'd be interested in taking a look at in terms of a deeper dive and adding them to your to your list of companies to watch. Grilled steak is in, boom, boom, boom. So they're offering bowls, maybe even a burrito. And this stuff is like really, really good, right? So you got meat in there. Again, more Mediterranean stuff for you to take a look at. And they got the download the app. And so this is a company that some people try to compare to Chipotle, right? And they say this is Chipotle from a more Greek style restaurant. And it's not really a restaurant, it's fast food. You walk in there and get it, or you order it online, pick up your order, whatever it may be, right? So, how can they grow, and can they grow at the level that, say, Chipotle has grown? That's the issue. See, Chipotle was introduced, and Chipotle stock ended up going to $3,000, $3,200 per share until they did the 50 for one split just a few weeks ago, right? So people are saying, can Cava do that? What Chipotle's done, right? So Chipotle, let's talk about Chipotle because that's the other stock that the last of these three other stocks besides the other ones I mentioned that I wanted to kind of hit on because they had a recent split as well, 50-1 split, right? So I think Chipotle is trading at $56 per share today. Here's what I noticed about Chipotle because I eat a lot of Chipotle, right? And so I pay attention to the store itself and what's going on, especially if I'm a patron, right? I noticed that, and you guys can tell me if you notice this where if you have a Chipotle or if you eat Chipotle, Chipotle is now staying open later at night, right? I mean, where I live, there's about 3 or 4 Chipotles that now stay open till 10:30. There's 1 or 2 that stay open till 11 p.m. And so I'm saying, there's been an adjustment there. Let me know if you have noticed that as well, right? Because I did notice it, right? I said, man, I got to get Chipotle. And I looked at the internet. Whoa, they close at 11 o'clock. Goodness gracious. Wow, that's late. So Chipotle is still growing tremendously. All right. And there's stores everywhere. Yes. Pistol Pete, I have eaten at Cava. It's very, very good. It's healthy for you. And yes, it's good food. This is one of the reasons why I put Cava on the list because I'm saying to myself, this is pretty interesting. This business idea, how they're growing, what they sell, and how they present it, the friendliness. They got a really solid store, always clean in the 2 or 3 that I've been in. That's one of the other reasons I like Cava. But with Chipotle, I've noticed that Chipotle is still growing, still growing. They have a earnings report. Chipotle has an earnings report coming up July 24th, right? July 24th. I've noticed that Chipotle is bigger and bigger player in the game. Look, for 10 or $11, maybe 12 somewhere, you can get Chipotle, and for 10, 11, $12, you can get a big old burger and fries at McDonald's or Burger King or Whopper, besides a little $5 meals, whatever they put out recently. But it's comparable, right? Every time I go in Chipotle, I see a parent or two with a child or two, and I'm saying, okay, this thing it's caught on, but it has more room to grow. And right now, Chipotle has a pretty significant market share in the fast food space, but also in the Mexican restaurant space as well, right? It has an estimated almost 10% of total industry revenue in the fast food place. That's a nice chunk. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a nice chunk, right? They said Chipotle is I think it's the largest what they call fast casual chain restaurant in the US. And I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. So some of you saw Chipotle at trading at $3,000 per share a couple of weeks ago and said, too much for me to get in. It's not trading like that now. You can go and get Chipotle shares at 56 bucks. And I believe, in my opinion, it's got a lot of room to grow. A lot of room to grow, right? Some of the analysts or some of the average price target, they're looking at nearly $70 per share, only trading at 56 right now. And that's just for the year. But I, I think for Chipotle, I think the skies could be the limit, man. I really do. I really think the skies could be the limit. Look, the Chipotle in 10 years from now, we could be talking about Chipotle as the McDonald's of the innovative fast food, right? You know how McDonald's kind of took it over. I don't know if McDonald's was first back in the 50s or not, but McDonald's had a large share in the 70s and you or 60s, 70s, and you had Wendy's come in, you had Burger King, but McDonald's is that staple. I think Chipotle has a chance to be that staple. And we're going to see we see Mediterranean and Cava. We might see other styles of food pop up in that same realm as Chipotle, right? That aren't necessarily Mexican, but they could be something else. They had a few competitors. Think about how Subway had Quiznos was their competitor. Subway was the staple. Quiznos was the competitor that they fell off. And now you got like these other Subway chains and so forth, Jimmy John's, you name them, right? Of course, you had McDonald's and you got Burger King and you got Wendy's and all that, right? In my opinion, you got Chipotle and they had Qdoba. Some of you don't remember Qdoba, but Qdoba wasn't quite up to what Chipotle was, right? And they've kind of fell off a little bit too. And I think you're going to have other competitors that now have room to come in with different genres of food besides Mediterranean, like Cava, right? This is why I'm saying that this could be a groundswell of more to come for this type of sector of restaurant that you could say, hey, okay, Chipotle. Look, Chipotle is, they're anticipated to go much higher than they are right now, right? They reported, I think, let me see if I got it right. I'll pull it up right here. Chipotle reported revenue of 2.7 billion, an increase of 14% year over year. That's for the quarter that ended March. For that quarter, Chipotle had a 14% increase in their revenue, top line revenue, year over year. That's big. That's big. That means they're growing, right? In terms of sales, right? But so speaking of Cava, if we look and compare the two, Cava, in terms of their percentage, had more in terms of their percentage and size, but Chipotle is a big name, right? It's clearly a much larger business than Cava, right? But Chipotle has, and it's in this industry, they call it same store sales, right? And profit margins. Profit margins obviously have to do with your ability to, not have so much debt, right? Something to think about. So Chipotle is solid when it comes to their top line revenue and their debt. I mean, they look good on paper. And when I visit the stores, it's like, okay, they look pretty good as well. I'm just kind of observing, seeing what they're doing, noticing the fact that their hours are extended now. They're doing some things. I saw some stores that added a drive-through where you don't have to get out and go inside and get your food. If you ordered it online, you can just come to the drive-through. They hand it to you. So this is what I'm saying about Chipotle. They're trying to be innovative. They're trying new things. It's like they're keeping up with the times. I see lots of progress in terms of Chipotle. I really do. Chipotle had about 35 locations at the end of March 31st this year. 3,500 locations, I should say. I'm sorry. 3,500 locations, right? Which is roughly, like I said, Cava's got over 300. That's roughly 10 times the amount of Cava. So Cava's no Chipotle right now, right? Cava's no Chipotle. But something to pay attention to. Let me see if I have this article up real quick. I had an article up. Let me just pull this up real quick. Let me share this with you guys because I want you to be a thinker in this game, right? If you're going to be in individual stocks, you should be thinking about these type of things. Let me pull up this quick article real quick. This was from, I think it was Motley Fool. It talked about, this is from about a month ago or a couple months ago. Cava Group was a sensation. Is Cava the next Chipotle? Cava is a small but fast-growing chain. What's exciting about Cava is that its concept is catching on. It can turn into a powerhouse chain like Chipotle could, right? And that's that same chart, similar chart that I just showed you. Cava is demonstrating high sales growth, which isn't surprising for a young company. What's more surprising is its strong growth in comparable restaurant sales, comps, and profitability. Even Chipotle isn't the next Chipotle, right? Chipotle churns out revenue and profit increases regularly. Customers love its fresh food, mid-range prices, and it's been reporting superb performance. There's the revenue increase. It opened 47 new stores. Chipotle did. This is a couple months ago. So there's Chipotle's chart that I showed you earlier. So it's not just me comparing these, right? There's industry folks that are comparing these two companies and saying, hey, could Cava be the next Chipotle? Right? It's possible, right? We'll see, right? It's off to a solid start. Let's put it like that. But Chipotle has big upside, right? Big upside. Whereas Cava, Cava's still in that stage you're not quite sure, right? You're not sure where they're going to go, if they're going to be able to maintain the fact that they've opened so many new stores in so many locations in such a short time, right? 300 stores is a lot, right? Nobody heard of Cava last year this time. Now all of a sudden, half the people in this chat have heard of Cava. Why is that? That cost money to get your name out there, to be opening these stores, to show up in Atlanta, show up in New Jersey, show up in, St. Louis, show up. That cost a lot of money, right? And so Cava will have to begin to prove itself in terms of its sales and all that good stuff, prove itself on another level with this amount of stores that are out there, right? I don't think Chipotle's growth is plateauing. I don't think Chipotle's growth is decelerating. Chipotle is continuing to grow. It's continuing to grow. All right. Why? And I've been talking about these earnings reports. Think about what happens to a stock when their earnings report comes out. Earnings reports usually trigger what? Happiness or sad, good or bad, great news or bad news, right? When a company releases its earnings reports, several things can happen to the stock price depending on what happens with the report, right? If the report is a good report, okay, boom, there can be some movement in stock price. If the report is a bad report, there can be some movement in stock price, right? If the report exceeds expectations, right? If the earnings report exceeds and goes above and beyond expectations, the stock price is probably going to do what? It's probably going to go up, right? It's probably going to rise. The positive surprise that everybody gets indicates the company is doing well. Yay, we're out there buying. Yeah. So the earnings report is going to incentivize people to go out and buy a company that's growing and doing well and exceeds earnings reports, right? If a company's earnings report maybe meets expectations, right, then the stock price may not have much of a fluctuation up, down, either way, right? Because the stock market is forward looking, right? So everybody looking at the stock is always looking at what's going to happen down the road. Even you as a retail investor, you're not buying Chipotle, CMG ticker symbol, for what their past earnings were. You're buying Chipotle with the anticipation of what's in the future for Chipotle or Cava or Broadcom or TSM, right? You're looking for what's coming up. So everything that's happening is forward looking, right? So if a earnings report misses expectations, right? They were expecting this top line revenue and they ended up with this top line revenue, right? Then what's going to happen? The stock price could usually fall. Could be a sell-off or people saying, oh my goodness, bad news. The negative surprise causes investors to lose confidence. The positive, stock goes up. The negative earnings report, stocks go down, right? And so, it's all about forwardness. Companies provide guidance about their future to give you an indication about they provide information about their past to give you an idea of what could possibly happen in the future. That's the whole point of the earnings report, to tell you what happened in the past, right? There's no such thing as an earnings report, a future earnings report. It doesn't occur. You have to make assumptions about the future based on the past, right? So just got to keep that in mind. Also, don't forget earnings reports kind of sway people's emotions, sway what they call market sentiment, right? How do people feel about it, right? If the market is looking up and everything's bullish and oh, we're looking great, right? If the market looks like that, the stock might react more positively when there's good news, right? If the market, okay, if there's bad news, like they didn't meet their expectations with their earnings report, but the overall market is looking up, then even though they got bad news about that stock, sometimes the stock might even go up a little bit because of it's a bullish type of stock market at the time of the earnings report. All these things make a difference, right? Not to mention this, what's happening in the overall sector, right? When these earnings reports come out, what's happening in the overall sector? So you look at AI, AI's been doing well, kind of at a lull right now, obviously. But what is the AI sector going to be doing when these earnings reports come out for each of these companies? That makes a sort of a difference as well, right? So we know there's specific metrics that happen within the 10Q that's going to come out, meaning your debt, your profit loss statement, all that stuff is going to be involved in the earnings report. But also, you want to listen to what the CEO is saying about the company and the direction of the company. That's important as well. But overall, an earnings report is a very, very important snapshot of the recent past of a company and it shows the financial health and the future prospects, future possibilities of that company in terms of that stock, right? So my goal here, guys, as I say, is just to make us aware of what's going on, make us better investors who are going to make money, not lose money. Going to make money. Let me see. Let me go back to the chat. Haven't been in the chat for a while, man. I'm sorry, guys. Let's see here. And I'm way behind. There was a queue. I saw a queue. I saw a queue. Help me out here. Let's see. The Columbus, Ohio Chipotle is open till 11 p.m. Yeah. So some of you guys have noticed that as well. Let's see here. Thought I saw a queue. I might have missed a queue, guys. If I missed your question, don't beat me up. Maybe I should slow down a little bit, right? Because sometimes I move fast and I talk fast. Let's see here. Boom. Just looking at a few of the, see if there's a question here that I missed. I thought it was one up here. Question: would you invest in CMG or Cava? If there was an or, that's a tough question, Walamala. Would I invest in CMG or Cava? I like to say both. I don't like to limit myself. I think both may be very good buys. They're on my watch list, and I probably will end up purchasing some shares of both, right? Because I eat at both. I know them, and I got a feel for the restaurant space as well. All the overhead and good stuff. So great question, Walamala. I appreciate it. Let's see. I feel Chipotle is healthier than regular fast food. That's what Art of War. That's the whole gist of CMG. That's the whole gist of Chipotle, is to say, hey, we are a healthier version of Burger King. Come over here and you can pick whatever you want. And you watch Chipotle's commercials, right? We prepare things in a certain way, in a responsible way, a responsible manner, all that good stuff. They got pretty good customer service. I had a major issue at Chipotle. I won't say exactly where. I had a major issue with a worker that was rude, and I made a complaint, a formal complaint to the customer. I called Chipotle. I made a formal complaint to Chipotle, and they handled it with incredible professionalism. And this wasn't very long ago. It was probably about a month ago. I had a major problem with the treatment of the manager. And so I made a complaint to them, and they were on it. They were quick. They were super professional, super nice. It was easy to contact them, easy to talk to a person, a human being. And I haven't been back to that Chipotle, but pretty solid. I appreciate the way they were on it. So I'm impressed with Chipotle overall as a company. I think McDonald's owned, let's see, maybe I'm not sure about that question, that Pistol Pete. Let's see, Texas Roadhouse is growing with a sister chain. Yeah, you're right. Panama Jack, great point. I've seen 2 or 3 Texas Roadhouses pop up in my area. That's a great comment, Panama Jack. Thanks for bringing that up. Mrs. Moore, let's see here. Nope. Appreciate you being here. By the way, Laker Raider, I'm investing in Cava. Congratulations to you. Jersey Mike's is another sub place. Yeah, I'm a little behind, but I'm catching up, guys. Let's see here. Does McDonald's own Chipotle? I don't think they own Chipotle. I could be wrong, guys. Somebody do a Google search on that for me. Let's see here. Oh, we got to get those likes up. Definitely. I appreciate that. Definitely got to get them up, guys. Just take a second to hit that thumbs up button. Qdoba only charges for the protein, so nothing extra. Interesting. Okay. So we got a Qdoba fan in here. Interesting. Let's see here. Question: what are your thoughts on Huma, HUMA, as a stock? I have not done my research on that stock, so don't quote me on anything. I just pulled them up, but no, I don't know much about that stock. Huma engages in development and manufacture of off-the-shelf imprintable and bioengineered human tissue. Don't know much about them. I don't mess with I'm not a healthcare guy, guys. I'm not a healthcare guy. I'm not a pharmaceutical guy. I don't take any medicines. Thank God at this point, I don't take any medicines. So I'm not a big pharmaceutical healthcare guy. So if you ask about healthcare stocks like Huma, I'm probably not going to be the person who's going to help you much with that. Nvidia to $70 tomorrow, and I'll buy Nvidia to $70. If Nvidia went to $70 tomorrow, are you kidding me? People will be all over that. Let's see here. Let's see here. Hover. Let's keep it respectful, Hover. Let's see here. By the way, boom, boom, boom. Nancy Pelosi, I think you're talking about, sold Nvidia. What I heard today. Question: is Chipotle owned by McDonald's? Somebody do the Google search on that for me. I've heard that 2 or 3 times in the chat. Chipotle is healthy until you get hit with the salmonella. Yeah. Also, they got a lot of cheese. So Chipotle claims that they're healthy, but they're healthier as compared to McDonald's. And here's the kicker: you can kind of make it as healthy as you want. When I go to Chipotle, I get a veggie bowl, right? I don't get the cheese all loaded up. I don't get the meat all loaded up. So I make it fairly healthy. Let's see. Panera was supposed to be food with integrity. Pistol Pete, good point. Panera is in that space too, but Panera has been, for me, look, let me just tell you the truth. Can I tell you, can we talk, right? A little Joan Rivers action here. Can we talk? Every time I go to Panera Bread, I feel like I'm in like Bob Evans or something, like a Ryan's or something, just like it feels almost homely, with the booths. It's almost like a Perkins restaurant, but you like a fast food Perkins restaurant. It just hasn't caught on the way. Now, don't get me wrong, Panera Bread is in a lot of places, right? A lot of places, and you can go to for lunch at noon. You can go to Panera Bread and it's packed in there, right? But it just has that kind of that feel, that is different than Chipotle. I think Chipotle and Cava are playing in the same space, and I think that Panera Bread, even with the name bread in it, is playing in sort of a different place. Still a little bit healthy, a lot of bread, a lot of cookies, a lot of dough, a lot of pastries, right? In Panera Bread. That's why they have it. So I think they're in a little bit different space than Chipotle and Cava, right? Just my opinion, Pistol Pete. Good question, good comment. Namisha said, how is the BRICS abandonment of the U.S. dollar going to affect the U.S. stock market? Namisha, that's a heavy-duty question. And I'm not sure, but I think there will be some ripple effect over the next few years. I think we really probably want to hold off and see what happens with the U.S. elections. And I think that's going to make a bigger difference. I plan to do a few videos about that because that will affect our dollar. So be patient on that, Namisha. I appreciate you bringing that up. Let's see here. Question: what do you think of semiconductor ETFs like SMH? I think those are fine. SMH, and again, semiconductor stocks or ETFs, I'm okay with those because it's a space that I think is here to stay. SMH is the VanEck Semiconductor ETF that's full of these semiconductors and technology stocks in that ETF. I think that those are good plays if you're a believer in AI. If you believe AI is the next internet, then I think it's a good place to be in. I would not put all my money in an ETF, a semiconductor ETF like SMH, but it's not a bad place to diversify your current portfolio. Absolutely. That's my opinion on that. Let's see. I guess all of this is my opinion, so I don't have to say that's my opinion, right? Hawaii's in the house. Jerry, I appreciate you. Let's see. Somebody said in 2006, McDonald's divested its stake in Chipotle, allowing the company to operate fully. Okay, so good point. Thanks for bringing that up. If Nvidia went to 70, it'd be back at 170 due to the high demand. Yeah, I could see that happening. Nvidia drops to $70 tomorrow morning. By tomorrow afternoon, it'll be back at 170, right? It'd be up at 170. Somebody said in 2006. Yeah, thank you for finding that for us. I appreciate you guys doing that Google search. Thank you for adding that to the chat. That is important. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Chipotle gives you 5 cubes of chicken for $12. Yeah, yeah. And funny is 3 years ago, you could go get a bowl or burrito for like $8, right? $8 or $9, right? 7, 8, $9. After the huge surge of inflation over the last few years, now you go in there, you're spending, 10 and a half, $11, maybe $12, depending on what area of the country you're in, right? So prices have gone up everywhere with everything, right? So this is the deal, guys, though. The point here is to say, listen, NVIDIA is a solid player on the block, but there are other solid players in the AI space. Do not forget about TSM, ticker symbol TSM. Do not forget about Broadcom. I think those are some solid looks that you should be thinking about. Also, the other two that I pointed out to you, I told you in the title, we had 3 of them. Broadcom was one, but the other 2 are CMG, Chipotle, and Cava. Be looking for that. Do your research, do your homework. You guys, do what you got to do your own due diligence on those things, right? So, hey, I didn't want to make it a long video. It's longer than I wanted to make it, but I wanted to give you that information because I said, hey, earnings reports are coming up. So as we near earnings reports and right after we get earnings reports, pay attention because the stock market is has expectations for earnings reports. And because they have expectations, it means if they hit it, if they don't hit it, or if they exceed it, that can make a difference in stock prices. As an investor, you have to be aware of the impact that earnings reports have on your stock prices, right? So I appreciate you guys being that. Don't forget in the chat section below, or chat section, description box, Mint Mobile is down there, my partner on this video. Check out them. Super duper, easy to use, less expensive, premium wireless service. Also, there's free stuff in the description box below. 24 Laws of Money is down there. It's a free ebook. Check that out. Also, don't forget, you can jump on my schedule. That's down there. We've got another site. The link to that is the first link in the description box on YouTube. Click that link. It'll take you over there. You can support the channel or you can join us over there where we're going to be doing deeper dives with individual stocks. And we're already talking about the cloning strategy that we're going to be using. We've already done a couple of videos about the strategy that I want to use, and you guys can help me out over there as well. So please join us there, guys. As always, I appreciate you being here. Channel wouldn't be what it is without you. And again, I want to reiterate that pray for our country, guys. Pray for the fact that, we had some people that were injured this past weekend at the assassination attempt on the former President Trump. Again, there's no place for violence. If somebody disagrees with you on your political ways of thinking, it's not that serious, right? It's not that serious in terms of, violence is never the answer. We try to do things with our vote, right, in this country, and we should make sure we stay on that level, right? You don't want to, if you're far left or if you want to be far right, you can be whatever you want to be, but just understand that there is a civil way to handle differences of opinions, and it's not about violence. So again, keep those people in your prayer. Appreciate you guys being here. As I always say, hey, look, the best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. Take good care of yourself and take care of other people. Till the next video, peace.